sunny this morning. Um, I hope that it doesn't snag. It's running better now. It was trying to update and then it kind of crashed and jammed. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on there. Sorry, guys. Let me get this up streaming real quick so it's all done. I know not a lot of people watch it that way. That perfect. Great. Okay. Yeah, that's good. The other thing is this, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and I don't know how it's going to work quite yet, but I have convinced my boss that there are a lot of you who would like to be doing some summer throughout a good portion of the summer. Okay, because we're not doing science camps just because of what's going on out there in the world. Okay. I know, yes, they're starting up baseball and softball. That's great. I'll probably be helping with that because my kiddos will be playing baseball. But still, on the other side of me, I'm still kind of going, I don't know how this is going to work out. So if you're a baseball player, great. But there's still a lot of questions for me, okay, as an adult. And I'm sure the adults who are watching here probably still have some concerns too. Okay, maybe even you do, all right? That's okay, all right? But the plan is, and what I'm thinking, is I won't do every grade once a week. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one bigger lesson a week and kind of do some of the things that we would do in summer camps. Kind of show you some of the fun things that we can do. Now, you might not be able to build all of these things, but I'm going to figure out a way to help you do some of those activities. There are ways to make it happen. All right. So it'll probably be once a week. I don't know what day yet. I'll send it out to your teachers and I'll get information out to you guys. Is that fair enough, everybody? Is that fair enough? No problem. Yeah, I thought about it. I know some people are saying this is a great idea. I know I had some kids, especially some 5th and 6th graders, who were super bummed about not having science camp and really wanted to keep doing science. I know, I'm sure, I don't know if you would like to see more science. Someone raise your hand because I'm going to look at your guys' video and see who would join with me once a week for science stuff. Okay, I see some people, probably, yeah, good handful. Okay, I mean, even if we're getting like 20 to 30 kids, you know what? Is that still worth it for me? You bet. It's still worth it for me. Okay. So I'm not sure what we'll do. We might be doing some fun things. I might be teaching you some different software. Like I might show you how to use Tinkercad and design things to do 3D printing. Okay. Some neat things. I might send an email out to teachers and see what kind of kids things are interested in. So I'm still in that planning, thinking phase. So don't take any of this as gospel yet, but we'll go. Now, this lesson today is pretty short and simple. Most of the time is going to actually be spent building this. And this is actually a really fun lesson that goes back to when we talked about string sounds. And if you remember when we did string sounds, we talked about how vibrations are what cause sounds, okay? And so again, if you don't have the materials, that's great. But when we talk about this, actually, I need one thing. Be right back. Give me a second here. I needed to grab one thing out of my closet of stuff. Okay? And when we look at vibrations, we can use probably the easiest thing, which is a guitar. Okay? I have way too many of them in my closet and not enough time to actually play them. Okay? I'd love to, but there's so many different projects going on in life, just can't do that. So sound is anything that is at frequencies and amplitudes. Okay, frequency Get out of there. Cat, get out. You're not sitting in the guitar case. Sorry, guys. My cat is deciding that it needs to sit in my guitar case. My cat is one of those, remember the cats that say, if it fits, I sit? That's my cat, okay? So with the guitars and any sounds, my sound right now, air comes across my voice box, vibrates my vocal cords, and highness and lowness and loudness and softness are what we hear in our ear, okay? Frequency is how high or low something is. Amplitude is how loud or soft it is, okay? Frequency, okay, you use that in math, you count it as how often. Frequency, is basically what it is. How many waves do we get per second? We know this is pitch, like very high pitches, like a bunch of preteen girls screaming at a Justin Bieber concert going, oh my God, it's Justin Bieber! Okay? Or a bunch of offensive line, or a bunch of quarterbacks going, I football, all right? All of those things, all right? That's highness and lowness, that's frequency. Amplitude is how loud or soft things are, okay? I could actually run this guitar through my computer and show you, but I'm worried that running a video and Zoom and streaming and that might cause the universe to spontaneously combust, okay? So if I jump here to this video, okay, every guitar is a little bit different. I might even go grab one other one here in a little bit. Computer's thinking, okay. Okay, so I've got this right here, and I painted the top of that. It's a little scratched up. So if I take this, okay, and we know with the guitar, somebody's raising their hand, okay. If you have questions, type them in. So I've got this. So I know that this thicker string here is heavier and lower, and so if I pluck it with my guitar pick, I hear it as a lower sound. If I pluck this higher one, it's thinner, it'll sound higher. And if I listen, I'm going to tune it just a little bit. I can use these little pegs right here to actually fine tune how well it sounds. There we go. Okay, now I'm in tune. All right. The other thing I can do is I can pluck it soft, and you can actually see it vibrating, right? Everybody see that? They're trying to get it really nice. There we go. There we go. Perfect. I can pluck it softly, or I can pluck it really hard. And can you see it vibrating? You can actually see it vibrating. If I pluck the higher one here, it might be a little bit harder to see. Oh, can't quite see that. It's hard to adjust this. There it goes. Things like that. Now, the ways I can change this pitch are a couple different ways. Number one, I can change these screws to change the length of the string, kind of like how I would change the length of a rubber band, okay? I don't have a rubber band handy. I had one. Oh, no, I do, okay? Forgot I did this yesterday with third graders. We made slingshot rockets, okay? And if I take this rubber band off of here, and I show how to stretch it, check this out. Awesome. That was a terrible rocket, okay? So I've got this. If I hold it here, okay, you can kind of see it vibrate. If I stretch it out, and you can kind of hear it too. Okay, listen, here it is flexed and just relaxed and stretched. Can you hear the second one, everybody? Can you hear it kind of making that sound? A little bit, okay? So a couple of things I can do to change the sound of my guitar, to change the pitch, is I change the length of the string, okay? So what I would do is I would move where my finger is. And if I put it way up here, instead of it sounding like this, now it sounds like this. and I change it, okay? The other weird thing I can do is I can take this bar right here, okay? And those of you who know anything about dive bombing, especially 80s hair metal, is notorious for this. You don't hear it so much nowadays in most rock. They don't use this as much. Eddie Van Halen was kind of the big precursor of using this. But what I do is if I take this bar and I press down, I actually slack these strings or kind of tighten them up. But watch what I can do. Okay, I can pluck here. Now listen. Now look at it. You can see it flopping because it sounds beautiful, right? That sounded beautiful, didn't it? Beautiful, floppy, gross sound. But if I wiggle it, now I can have fun with it. Okay, or I can also pull up on it and tighten everything. So I can do a lot of different things with it and really, really mess with the sound. By lengthening and making things tighter, which is what you do with your vocal cords when you have a higher pitch, higher frequency, it's how we get those high pitches. Okay, by tightening things, we get high pitches. By loosening things, we get very low pitches. So that if you noticed with that guitar, when I really hammered down on it, the strings went really floppy, right? They're not very tight. But if I let them back up, now they're back to normal-ish. And if I pull up on them, there's where I start. All those things. So I can have fun with it. All right, kind of one of those weird things we can do in science. And it's the principles of sound, okay? Lengthening and shrinking. When we look at it as waves, we see big peaks for high volume, okay, high amplitude, which is why big waves in the ocean crash and little waves are quiet. And if we have a lot of waves every second, it sounds very high pitched, whereas if we get low ones, they're more spread out. The other way to look at this is taking a really big rock and throwing it in a very still pond. When you do that, you get really big ripples that are spread out a lot, which means low frequency, okay? But they're very big, so it's low frequency but very high volume. But if you take a very light rock and you throw it and skip it, you get these little tiny circles that are low amplitude, which are not very loud, but you get a lot more of them and you get those tiny little ripples. Okay? Is that making sense? When I look at your faces, is that making sense? And I know some of us, we kind of talk, I see some, If you have questions now, okay, so before we go on, now's a good place. If you have questions, go ahead and type in some questions. That's fine. Okay, if you're still confused, ask questions. Now's a good time to ask. I'll give you a minute or two while I put this away for a second. If you're still lost or confused, you can ask. Sound is surprisingly easy to understand and surprisingly very confusing to understand. Okay? The only thing you have to think about is big waves that crash into the ocean, okay, are really loud. But we usually don't get very big ones very often. Can you strum high and quiet at the same time? Absolutely you can. Okay? So what you would get is you would get a very soft sound. But the other problem is that, and that was a great question that you brought up with the high and quiet, okay? The strange thing about it, what type of voice carries the furthest? A high-pitched voice or a low-pitched voice? Type in what you think. Okay, if you're in the chat on this, okay, type in what you think. Which one carries further? High voices or low voices? Okay. See some highs and lows. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got a few for high. Okay. Let me phrase the question a little bit differently. Which voice type is the most intense and drives your ear crazy? Okay. Which one drives you the most crazy? High pitch or low pitch? Ah, yes, there you go. Absolutely. High-pitched voice are very, very intense, especially if you use power tools. They whine at a very high pitch, and that's actually what does a lot of hearing damage. Okay, so the high-pitched voices are very intense. They also are very hard to bring the volume way down. It's tough. You can do high pitch and quiet, but it is really tricky. High pitched voices carry a lot. That's why like ambulance sirens or police sirens carry, because they're at a fairly high pitch. But if you ever are at a concert, they don't amplify the high pitch sound very much. They amplify the low bass notes. People that drive around in cars with subwoofers, which are the big intensive boom, 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 they're not amplifying the high pitch, they're amplifying the low rumbling pitches because they're not very intense. They don't carry very far. Okay? It's very, very interesting. Okay? It's kind of hard to explain right now because your brains are kind of, it's hard to make it make sense. I'm trying as best as I can, but it's a little bit of thinking and doing these things. And sometimes you have to go out onto a still lake or a pond and throw some rocks in it. This is one time I'm telling you, go to a lake and throw rocks in it. Throw a big heavy rock, watch the ripples, because it'll be high volume, but low frequency. So you have these big waves, but not very many of them. And then take a little rock and throw it in and watch all the little tiny ripples, but it's not as loud. Okay, that's a weight thing. So it's really, really, really strange. Okay. If you're still confused on that, let me know. But what we're going to do is we're going to build a way to take your phone, which sounds pretty good. Okay. And if you don't have headphones or you don't have a Bluetooth speaker, you really don't need one. In fact, we're going to make it eco-friendly. We're going to use materials you probably have. Now, somebody asked me, can you use plastic cups? You can. It's just very, very hard to cut them. And we found with plastic cups, because if you think about plastic, they echo quite a bit, like tile rooms. They echo quite a bit and they don't sound as good as styrofoam, because styrofoam is very good at, and paper cups are very good at absorbing those very high frequencies that are really kind of, they don't make things sound good. It actually makes it sound more round than what it would coming out of your phone or your iPad or iPod or whatever. If you only have earbuds, you can actually put your earbuds in there. That will work. Okay. What you might want to do, somebody asked about plastic cups, something you might want to try, take some cotton balls and you might have to put some cotton balls. Actually, this is speaker design. Okay. This is exactly how they build really nice like speakers that they put in the walls that you listen to, or concert speakers, or if you ever listen on really, really nice sound systems. This is how they do this. There's people were very, very invested in really nice speakers and really nice speaker enclosure designs. For you guys, you didn't grow up so much with that, with big stereo systems. You've just had mobile music. Well, mobile music is mixed differently than older music. If you've ever listened to older music and newer music is mixed more towards the high mids. And if you go back quite a ways, the volume is different and it's more flat and across the middle. That's why older songs, you have to turn up the volume just a couple ticks because it's not as intense and heavy. That gets into something completely different, which I could talk about for a long time, but it's a lot of fun. Go watch people on the internet talking about mixing songs, mixing music. It's really, really neat, okay? So here's what we're going to do. We really only need 4 things, okay? And you can use everything that you have. I happen to have a piece of a paper towel tube that's here. You could use a toilet paper tube. Some people have asked me about what if I want to use a wrapping paper tube. And actually those are really good because they're a heavier cardboard. All I have is a paper towel tube. I have 2 styrofoam cups and I'm going to have a pencil. I want a pencil or a pen, and I'm going to have my scissors. Okay. So here's the first thing we're going to do. Before we start with our cups, we're going to measure our device. So what we need to do is we need to make an opening. There are a couple different ways to make this opening. I'm going to show you one way, and I might show you a second one. Okay, so what you'll need to do is you're going to center your device on your tube as best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then you're going to make a couple marks. You're going to mark on the ends. Okay, and then you might want to make a line on the back and front. Okay, so I've got this relatively nice rectangle here, right? Everybody can kind of see that rectangle? Oh, some people did this. Awesome. If you did this, great. Okay. We've moved this lesson around in 4th grade and 3rd grade or 5th. Usually we do it in 5th grade. Okay. So here is our square. Now, what I can do are 2 things. I could cut this square out. That would be okay. That's fine. I could also cut the letter I. So if I'm going to use a different color here real quick. Let me use this marker. Hopefully my wife doesn't yell at me. I'm going to do this in a purple one. What I could do is I could cut along this line right here a little ways. Not, I wouldn't go this far out. A little bit past my outline. And then I go here. And then I would cut right down the middle. So basically I'm making the letter I. So I'll show you how to do that on this one. Okay. And that'll make kind of like a little curve where your phone could sit in there. So to do this, take your tube, pinch it, cut one end. Don't cut too far. Remember, don't cut too far. Cut a little bit past there. Cut a little bit past. Okay, that's good. It's not going to be pretty. It'll work though. I'm going to cut along this dotted line. Whew, these scissors are very small for my fingers. That's what happens when they're designed for little people. I'm going to cut along this line. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to stop right there. Now I'm going to cut a little bit. Whoop, I'm going to turn my scissors, cut a little bit here. I'm going to cut just a little bit here. And then what I will have is a little opening that will fold down that I can slide my phone into. Whoop, that's upside down. Just like this. Now, whoop, mine's not quite perfect, so I might need to go out just a little way. And you just make little adjustments until your phone, your whatever, fits in that opening. Try not to tear if you can. Okay. And hopefully you can get it to stand up like this. There you go. I've tucked that down like that. Look good? That's what I've got. All right. Seeing if some people are working along with us. If some people are working along with us, great. If not, no big deal. Okay. That's one way. That's making like the shape of the letter I. Could I have cut out this square right here? Could I cut that out? Sure, I can cut that out if I want to. Okay. There's no right or wrong way. Making this I shape is probably the easiest because it just requires the least amount of cuts. But what you kind of want to do is you want this to be as sealed as possible so no sound escapes out, okay? The tighter the fit is in here, the less the sound like goes up this way. We want it to go up and out, all right? Good so far? Good, all right. Next step. Ooh, that is pretty tight. Good. Next step is going to be to make my speaker. Okay, these are my speakers. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my paper towel tube or whatever tube I have. I'm going to kind of line it up in the middle. Some people go, well, why don't I do it this way? Well, if you do it this way, your sound is going to be pushed out this direction. I don't want that. I want it to be able to face it that way. Will it work if it's Samsung? Absolutely. I'm using a OnePlus, which is basically a Samsung. Any one of them will work. You just have to make sure that when you cut it, it fits. If you have a thick case, you'll either have to leave the case on and cut around the case or take it out of your case and slide it in there. Okay. You just have to make the adjustments. And if you goof this up, throw it in the recycle bin, try it again. Or tape it up, go the other side. It's okay. It will work with whatever you did. I've seen people do this with an iPad or whatever. It'll work. Okay. So I'm going to take my cup and I'm going to measure about to the middle of this cup right here, about the middle. And what I will do is I'm going to draw a circle around this toilet paper or this tube on each end. Okay. One on that end. Okay. I've got kind of a circle there. And then I'm going to, I need to flip it actually, on the other end. Kind of quick. Now, we all know that styrofoam is pretty easy to cut through. But if I do this incorrectly, I will bust my cup. And I don't want to do that. I want to be inside of my line that I do here. Okay, I'm going to trace it in purple. This purple just happens to be the color, of course. So I've got a purple line here. Okay, that's one side. And I'll trace the other. I've got, was this pink? Great. Obviously, my wife is doing her notes for her lessons in purple and pink. There. Okay, so I've got that one. I want to try to stay inside of these lines as best as I can because I can always take a little bit off and I can always squeeze these tubes down, but I can't add it back. I want this to be a snug fit. So there's no gaps, tight fit. Okay, it's like if you've ever put PVC pipe together, if there's an elbow joint here, you slide the PVC pipe in and it's just a really nice tight fit. So what I'll do, I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to show you kind of a semi-safe way to do this as best as I can. I'm going to take the point of my scissors. I'm going to go inside quite a ways. It's going to wiggle a little bit until I poke through, and I'm going to very gently snip around the outside. Now, if you have bigger scissors, it'll be trickier. And what you might have to do is you might have to remove it a little bit by a little bit, like piece by piece. Okay, so I cut that little piece out. Just make sure you clean up your messes. I'm going to go ahead and cut these out real quick. Again, plastic cups will work. They're just tricky to use and they're a little bit echoey, so you don't want to do that. As you turn the cup, remember it's going to want to break off. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Pretty good. Let's see how am I doing that work. I might need to trim that out a little bit more. A little bit. Again, it's better to have to trim a little bit more than none at all. Okay. I'll probably get yelled at and have to sweep up my room. That's okay. I can handle that. I can do some adult work, I think. Let's see if I can get this to fit. There we go. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm very gently, okay, I kind of bent the inside of it, but that's okay. There we go. So what I did, I'm just going to show you one for now, is I've got a nice tight fit. Okay. A little bit bent over there, but I might have to clean that up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that the same on both sides. I'm just going to do one for now. You would do the same on the other. If I had I don't have a utility knife. Otherwise, I would do that. And I might be able to do this real quick. See if I can do this without hurting myself. I'm using a shortcut method, the less safe, not as smart, dangerous to cutting your fingers method, which I'm not showing you. You're welcome, teachers. I am not showing how to almost damage your fingers, because if I do that, that's my own fault. So there we go. And plus, it's not as pretty. Take the other side, throw that in there. You can notice I'm pushing the tube. And there we go. I've got my set of speakers. Also looks like a giant cell phone. You can talk to your parents on it. Hello, hello. If you talk in it, you can actually hear your voice kind of on the other side. It's kind of like one of those cool speaker phones. Hello, hello. All right. Yes, it looks great. Now, I have it set and ready to go here. I'm going to point my speakers the way I want it to go. And then I just find some music that I'm going to play. What do I got today? What am I playing? That's all stuff that you wouldn't know. So much older. No. Stuff you wouldn't know. So let's say I play, oh goodness. Oh, which teachers do I have on here? Oh, let's see. I've got Miss Weber. I had Mr. Girths. I don't know. Teachers fire in a song. We'll see. You get to choose. I'll look it up here quick. First teacher to fire in one, they work. 80s rock. You gotta choose a song there, Miss Coke. Oh, gosh, that's why you get fired. Let's see. 80s rock. Let's see. Oh, let's go. Oh goodness. Oh, there we go. There we go. The happy song, that's great, but I saw the 80s rock first, so I'm gonna take mine. I've got some great classics here for Ms. Comer. So if I take this, that's my phone. Now I'm going to put it in here. Is that here different? Okay, that's in. Here it is out. Really narrow. There you go. There you go, Mr. Comer. Little winger for you there. All right. So did you hear a difference? Did you hear a difference between when I had my phone out versus in? Was there a difference? I can tell you there's a... Oh, it's going to do Still of the Night. It's going to play some White Snake. There is a big difference because when I have my phone in here, okay, when I have my phone out, it's really, really bright sounding and kind of it's really bright. So if I pull the Minions up here, oh, stupid commercials. There we go. So I put this here. Oh, I can pull Winger out of nowhere. All right. So there's Pharrell Williams. See, here's here. Now listen. There's a big difference. In, and it's got Minions. Out. And back in. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. Okay. So, okay. Somebody said they missed what to do with the cup. You cut a circle. Okay. You'll cut a circle. That's the same diameter as your tube. And you just kind of fit it very tightly in there. I kind of push the paper towel tube, fit it. and then I make sure that my speakers go here. I can point my speakers whatever direction I want. You just make sure that the little slit part faces up so that your phone stays balanced. And if I do it right, my phone should actually, yeah, using my speakers, if you take a look here, it actually sits quite nice. It looks good. And it sounds not that bad. And I didn't need any batteries or anything. You can adjust this. You can adjust the length of your tube. You can put some different things to try. You could try bigger cups. There are so many different ways to do this. There is nothing stopping you from trying different things, okay? So have fun with this, guys. Give it your best shot and try it because I think you'll enjoy it. All it takes is 3 things. Well, actually, yeah, 3 things.